Welcome to the very first episode of the Kang Gang Pod. You might be wondering. Thank you. Clap it up. This is the very first episode. We're very excited to be here. This podcast has been in the works for a very long time. We first came up with this idea to do a podcast together about 2 years ago, and we never did anything until right now. We are three lifelong friends that share one passion together. It's the Sacramento Kings. But this podcast is going to be a little bit more than just the Kings. Obviously, we're going to talk about our favorite team on most nights, but you're going to learn a little bit more about our personal lives. You're going to learn a bit more about our friendship. You're going to learn about how we became amazing friends. So this podcast is meant to be a safe space. It's meant to be a fun time. And here we are on the very first episode of the Kang Gang Pod. I have one more thing I need to say. You might be wondering, what in the world is the Kang Gang? There's two requirements to be a part of the Kang Gang. Number one, you need to be a fan of the Sacramento Kings. And number two, listen to number one. You need to be a fan of the Sacramento Kings. If you do that, you will be a part of the Kang Gang. Here we go. Introduce yourselves, fellas.
That was a great intro.
Thank you.
That was really good.
Thank you.
That was really good.
And those requirements to be a fan, it doesn't take much, right? You just got to root for the best team in the NBA.
It's not hard.
It's really not hard.
But you need to be diligent. You got to be consistent.
You can't flip-flop when you pick Tyreek Evans in 2009. You can't flip-flop, right? You can't become a Warrior fan.
25-5, baby.
You can't become a Warrior fan, when KD goes there and then come back.
Exactly.
I'm Johnny. This is, I've been a lifelong Kings fan, and I'm ready to get started. I'm born and raised in Sacramento, lived here my whole life, never rooted for another team, always just been a Kings fan, and love sports, even through the ups and downs, always rooted for them, always stayed loyal, and I think that's, we're obviously friends beyond sports, but I think that's what brings us closer, but other people close as well, is when you root for a team that has ups and downs, and you stick together. It shows you have loyalty as an individual. I've stayed loyal to the Kings, and I'm excited that Cristo gave me this platform to talk about them, and that I get to spend time with you guys. So
we're lucky to have you, Johnny. We're lucky to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
So my name is RT, and I actually was born in Hawaii, but I moved to Sacramento when I was 2, and I became a Kings fan probably when I was around 7 or 8, when we were going to Arco Arena games. I went with my family, and I just remember just watching Peja and Bibby and Chris Webber and Doug Christie and that time, because I remember just watching them. But I think in high school, that's when my fandom for the Kings really, really took off, and that's when I met Cristo and Johnny, and just their fandom and the way that they really support their team was something like I really liked and I gravitated towards. And I became a massive Kings fan myself too through that process, and it's led me here, and I'm just super honored. Like I said, that Johnny said, I'm very honored to be here, and thank you to Cristo for giving us an opportunity to just share our fandom for the Kings. And this isn't just for us. This is also for massive Kings fans, whether around the world. I think it's important to just spread the love and just talk about our favorite team and connect people through the Kang Gang. The Kang Gang is the way to be. We're connecting people throughout the world. We're building a big Kang Gang over here.
That was beautifully said, Ryan. Okay, so another thing about the Kang Gang is this is a show brought to you by the fans for the fans. That is something that we want to harp on often.
Especially the loyal ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
We want to build a very, very strong tight community. I mean, there already is a huge community surrounded by the Sacramento Kings, but we think this will be a great opportunity to just bring people closer with our one love for the Kings. I'm very excited that we're doing this again. We've been excited. We've been working hard to get this to get up and running, and it's just crazy that we're finally here.
We're starting at a great time too.
Yeah,
the really momentum has never been this high at this volume for the Kings.
Oh man,
the excitement.
DeMar DeRozan. I mean, we can go to Mike Brown. I mean, we'll dive into this later, but I feel like Mike Brown was the catalyst of this trajectory upward, right? Because everyone would talk about Luke Walton and just all the coaches that we had and the non-stability that we had, but this year our coach is set, our culture set.
Yeah.
We have a freaking 4-time All-Star. Still have Sabonis. Keegan's going to take a big jump. So I feel like this is a good time to start something.
Start talking.
Start
I
talking.
agree,
Start
man.
spreading
Start
the word.
yapping.
Start preaching to the choir.
Exactly.
I just realized I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Cristo. I know you guys know me, but for those that are watching, my name is Cristo. I feel like I was born to be a fan of this team. I feel like the reason why I was here, I was brought into this world, was to be a fan of this team. If you just look around at our backdrop, you could just see that the Kings are everything to me. You know, my first introduction to the Kings, I was very young. My dad, he was a season ticket holder. I was very young at the time, so I didn't really get to go with him because I was too young, but he was always going to the I remember like vividly, like he was going to the playoff series against the Lakers. So he got to witness like all of the heartbreak. He got to witness the highs, the lows of being a Kings fan during the golden era. So ever since then, I remember he would always bring me back jerseys. He would always find like the kid-sized jerseys for me. He would find them at the thrift stores. He would find all the cool players, and I wore them like growing up. So I was always rocking a Kings jersey as a kid. I was always about it. And I then got to finally go to my first game at Arco Arena, and there's this photo that I have of myself as a kid decked out. And it's so crazy to think about like where I'm at today. That kid is literally like you could have predicted, like you could have put your money down to Vegas. Like, what do you think that kid's going to do? What he's going to end up doing.
He's going to become a Kings fan. That's what he's going to be doing. You know?
Like you would know what he's going to be like 20 years down the road. And, you know, I've seen some amazing things. That was like my first introduction, was just always like I remember like even just looking at old photos in the family albums, like I'm just rocking these vintage jerseys. I mean, vintage now, but like back then I'm just rocking all the cool jerseys, and that's my introduction. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the off season. How was your guys' off season? Let's start with you, Johnny.
Like on a
personal level. Yeah. Talk about the off season. Talk about your preparation for the season going forward. Like what did you do to get ready to lace up?
To lace up.
For Mike Brown to call your name and get on the court. What did you do? Tell us.
You know, a lot. You know, I was grinding. No, I mean, you know, I spent a lot of time with family. You know, close friends. Work, right?
The big move. Yeah, I recently
Very
moved
exciting.
to
East Sacramento. You know, beautiful neighborhood. Did that a few months ago, and yeah, it's been a cool little off season. I feel like it went by slow-ish.
Yeah,
like, you know,
it always goes by slow, especially when we're not making the playoffs. It feels like the summer is the longest. Like it takes forever. Like I'm just like waiting for that calendar to flip. Like come on, like I'm waiting for October. You know?
Right. But yeah, no, just kind of, you know, staying busy, working, and
that's amazing.
And hanging out with fam,
watching
the nephews and nieces grow up. So
that's amazing.
Let's go.
But yeah, also just being in the Sacramento community, just being excited, seeing other Kings fans in the area rocking their gear. You know, I go on walks in McKinley all the time, and
you work near the arena too,
yeah,
so you're always seeing it.
So, yeah, I see people in Kings gear all the time, which is good. Gets you hyped up for the season. So yeah, been ready, but chill off season, just ready to rock and roll.
What about you, Ryan?
My off season, I mean, kind of the same thing as Johnny, but what I've been doing recently, since August, I started the student teaching program at Sac State. And
congratulations, by the way. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
Thank you. It's a lot of work, but I'm just, you know, it's all about a balance. And I think like for me, you know, especially going into a field that requires teaching, you have to have an outlet that allows you to have that balance of just work and fun. And I think this podcast, what it is for all of us, is fun. And I'm just excited to just dive into this podcast. I've been nonstop thinking about this podcast like all week and all that stuff. So, you know, that's what I'm really, really looking forward to for this season, and just talking shop and just spending time and just, you know, just talking sports, just talking about life and, you know, all the cool things that are happening. So yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I've been spending time with family and friends, you know, and that's pretty much it outside
gearing
of
up.
And gearing up. We're gearing up, baby.
I think that's the biggest thing too, is you brought up a good point, is we have so much to say throughout the year, and we never had a platform like this to talk about it. So, and we finally have spot to vent that's not social media or the Instagram comments off the Saboni burner. You know, like we have a platform to vent, because there's going to be ups and downs in the year, right? There's going to be trials and tribulations, as there is with any team. You know, Kings aren't perfect, as we know. So, to piggyback off what RT said, I feel like it's going to be good for us to get a platform to vent on and talk positives and negatives about the season. Right?
Exactly. I mean, it's not going to be clear skies every day. I'll tell you that.
No, not even close.
But that's why, like, the creation of this podcast is just going to be great for just talking, enjoying, and celebrating. Speaking of celebrating, my summer off season was very eventful. I got engaged. It was a very, very, very beautiful moment. It took a lot of planning. It took a lot of creativity, because I just wanted this moment to be as special as it could be. And
for the people listening at home, I've heard the story. It would take a whole podcast episode for him to explain it. So
so I'm not going to dive into
we'll have
the
to
full
put that
story.
into a different episode.
Definitely. But yeah, that happened, and it was beautiful. It was something I'll never forget. And that was my main thing. That was like my main, I need to, like, this, I knew it was happening in the summertime, and I knew I had to get that done. So that happened. It went better than I could have ever imagined. And now in 4 days, I'm leaving to Europe. Before the season starts. Had to go quick getaway. Going to travel around the world with my fiance now. It's going to be a great time. And we're arriving back in Sacramento the week before opening night. So that was our off seasons. And now let's get into some Kings talk. Okay, so we had a big off season. The Kings had a bigger off season. So we signed. We had our biggest free agency signing in, I would like to say, in Kings history, with the signing of DeMar DeRozan. I think it was huge for the city. It was an amazing moment, and it just shows that a small market team could still make waves in the NBA. And I'm very excited to see what he brings to the table. We needed someone like really mature for the team. We needed that leader. I mean, Harrison Barnes, I mean, we'll miss him like crazy, but he was our leader, and now we're replacing him for DeMar DeRozan. So I'm excited to see the fit. My expectations are high, and I'm very excited to see how he fits with the team. What do you guys think?
I think, like you said, I think like Harrison Barnes was our leader, but when you get DeMar DeRozan, that has had playoff experience, you know, he's been to Eastern Conference Finals, you know, been to multiple playoff teams and in Toronto, and being the main guy in that offense and knowing like you have multitude of years, like it's year 16, I think he's on, year 15, 16.
He's been playing for a while. I know that.
Drafted in 09.
Drafted in 09, so probably like year 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
Just having like that experience of just knowing like what it takes to win in this league is so valuable. And especially for a team that is coming up on the rise, like having DeRozan being that guy to be like, hey, this is what it takes to win. And especially contributing into an offense where he's going to be like possibly that second option, the second scoring option on that team.
Oh, definitely.
You know, that's also very, very big. So having that as like a guy, you know, to be a part of your team is massive. And I definitely think like it's, like you said, it's been the biggest signing in our Kings history of offseason. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to see what he brings to the table, and just knowing like, hey, this is going to be a dude that's going to be like our go-to guy in the clutch, you know, one of. Yeah,
I mean, I'm just not used to the Kings making, like being in the news during free agency, you know, like that was news, seeing them on ESPN, and, you know, there was a lot of people talking mess about the signing, you know, rightfully so. You know, it's not going to be perfect. We're on a big market. We're not going to sign the top free agent.
Yeah.
No, never.
So, but I'm excited for it, you know, as much as I love HB, I think it was important that we, you know, shook things up and got some new pieces in there. And obviously, you know, his resume speaks for itself. 4-time All-Star, one of the most clutch players in the league. I think when you pair him and De'Aaron's actually going to be really good, because obviously De'Aaron's jump shots improved a lot. So I think he's going to keep growing off that. And DeRozan actually shoots a lot better than people think. So he just doesn't attempt as many. So I think he shot like mid-30s off like 2 attempts last year. So hopefully he shoots more, because he's shown that he can make it. But I'm just excited to see what he adds to our offense, you know, like dribble handoffs, ISO, because I feel like, and, you know, I would voice this all the time when we watched games last year, I feel like there were so many times where our team just needed a bucket, right? Like as much as Malik Monk and all these players are firepower for us. And when Keegan's on, he's crazy, right? He's a crazy shooter. But I feel like when we would lose games when we didn't like get buckets after droughts, right? A team would go on a run, get up by 20, and then we're, up the stream without a paddle, right? So we're like down a good amount. So I feel like DeRozan's going to come in and be kind of that rock for us. And HB, right? He wasn't the aggressive ISO scorer. Like he's more of like a, he goes in the offense, he flows, he passes the ball, he moves it. He's a good team player. DeRozan will be like, give me the ball, get out of the way. Yeah. And I feel like we needed someone like that.
I think what it also does is, like, you see Monk and Fox, they just apply rim pressure at such a high rate. And DeRozan can also do that too. And I feel like when we, like you said earlier, when, we can't buy a bucket, DeRozan's just going to go put his head down and just get to the cup, whether through the mid-range or through just applying rim pressure to defenses. That's like a huge thing that when I saw a lot of last year, we lacked, especially because Fox would tend to settle for threes, which is good. I mean, he shot like the best he's shot, but the way you're going to get through defenses and get them in foul trouble is just attacking the rim, man. And that's like what DeRozan does at a very underrated level too.
You can't stop the pump fake. You can't.
You can't.
Something I really like about the move, it says a lot about the organization. It says a lot about Monty McNair. It shows that because he was getting a lot of hate like last season for like staying still with the team, and I really respect the move for him to, like you say, go out there and get him. I think Monty McNair, he's showing that he's willing to make the moves in order to build like a winning team here in Sacramento. So I really like the move.
So he's
done some big things for us.
Yeah, it's time for him. I mean, he in his first year traded our most prized possession essentially, other than De'Aaron Fox. Mm-hmm. So he's shown that he has cojones to make moves. So yeah, I just feel like he thought it was time. He thought it was time to do something. It probably wasn't as big as the Halliburton-Sabonis trade, but as far as impact, it's probably the biggest thing that he could have done to shake up our roster. And I love Monty for that.
Yeah, let's just talk about we love the vest, but let's just talk about that warm welcome DeRozan got, like day of signing, like hour after signing the contract. He walks out of the Golden One Center during the Summer League games. They play Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. It was packed. Like the thing about people that don't know about Sacramento is like we'll sell out a Summer League game, and everyone in that crowd they heard the buzz, they heard the news about the signing. He walks out, everyone stands up, and he gets a standing ovation. And like, what better welcome can you get to signing a contract with a new team? Like I feel like he's excited to be here. He feels it from the fans, and that's like what our job is, to like make the players feel welcome and root them on the whole season.
But I think fans appreciate him too, is because he's from Compton, right? He could have easily signed with LA. I even think there were rumors that the Lakers wanted him, right? So I feel like that added to it. Like obviously you're getting a good player, but I feel like we cheer even louder, and we're going to this season because he actually wanted to be here.
It's crazy that like I think about like he had some bigger market offers, and he chose
a Lakers fan. Like he grew up rooting for the Lakers, and in Compton. And he chose to go to Sacramento out of any other California team.
I know, it's really special.
It's a different era for the Kings.
Yeah, it still hasn't like hit us yet because we haven't seen him like put the jersey on the court yet. But one more thing I wanted to bring up to you guys about DeRozan is this is semi-recent in the news. It came out that DeMar DeRozan does not tie his shoes when he hoops, and he has been doing that ever since I think he was like 9 or 10 years old.
That's nuts. In the games?
In the game, he does not tie his shoes.
He just tucks the laces in?
I think he just lets them free flow.
There's no way.
Podcast P.
He has to tuck the laces in because he would trip, right?
Yeah.
So I think he might like curl, like he might. Are you sure?
Hey, I'm not the one who said it. Don't ask me. Ask DeMar. Okay. I just wanted to see your guys' thoughts on that, which is crazy because like he's had such an incredible career, and he's been the thing that like people aren't really talking about is that he plays all the games. Like he is going to be out there. And the fact that he's able to play a full season for such a long career like he has without tying his shoes, without getting any injuries.
Yeah. He's one of the most durable players in the league.
It's incredible. Yeah. Like I just wanted to point that out. Like it's
That's
just a
insane.
Fun fact.
That is insane. We're gonna find out during the home opener when we play Minnesota. Like if he does it.
Yeah, I'll be looking at his shoes.
We're gonna be squarely looking at his shoes.
I think get tickets to that.
Wait, it was not Podcast P where he said that. It was the
Jeff Teague
podcast.
That was a good one.
Yeah, so that is where he revealed.
Not as good as Kang Gang Pod, but
yeah. I mean, we'll land some big guests eventually.
We will.
We'll put it out there.
We'll be better locally.
Yeah, we'll put it out there.
100%.
So next topic I wanted to bring up is just let's go through some Sacramento Kings predictions. Let's first start off with like what do we think the Kings record will be? How many wins? Let's just start with how many wins do you think the Kings will get this season?
I think we're getting the 50 mark. That might be wishful thinking, but I feel like we're going to be hungry this year after taking the dip down. I think we're going to get 50. I think realistically, I think we hit 50. I think we're going to go 50 and 32.
If that's wishful thinking, If that's wishful
chat.
thinking, I'm throwing the piggy bank in the well.
Book it, chat.
I'm putting. I believe in the 50. I mean, I remember.
Not 60. I'll be
no.
realistic.
We're not there
I
yet.
think we can get 50.
But back to the Beam Team era when we made the playoffs for the first after we broke the drought. I remember when we hit the 40 mark. That was unreal. So the fact that we're close to making that jump, like in the past 2 seasons, we've been hovering to 50. I think this is the year that we push it. And also, just speaking on the team, I think with an 82-game season, I think with our team, when teams play us, it's not going to be a night off. Like our team is going to be, we're deep, and every game, like they have to bring it against us. And I think that we're going to collect a lot of wins over the season. I think we're going to be very healthy. And I want to say 50 at least.
I think part of the dip too, before you give your win prediction, was at least last year the win dip was we weren't ready for the teams to take us serious. I feel like this year now we're ready for teams to come after us. Last year it was like, we had that playoff drought end, and then we weren't really ready. Now I feel like Fox mentally is ready. Sabonis is more comfortable here drinking his wine in Napa. DeRozan comes in as hungry as ever. Like you gotta remember, this dude has so much playoff experience in Toronto, a little with Chicago, San Antonio. Remember when the Spurs took Denver to 7? They had that game 7 a few years ago. So I feel like we have a lot of guys that are hungry, but also ready to take punches. And I feel like last year we didn't. Yes. So that's why we did. But I feel like we're going to hit the 50 this year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. I think 50 is definitely in that reach, and I think we will hit that mark. I think when you look at also at a lot of the other teams in the West, you kind of look at like what teams got better. We were one of those teams that got better in the West. And I think like when you look at like teams that like are Denver, which is pretty passable, they've lost KCP, and all that stuff. We could talk about, the West teams later, obviously, but it's coming soon. But when we talk about just like how we improved, the core is still young. Fox is going to be 27 in December. Sabonis will be 28. I don't know when his birthday is, but his birthday's coming up soon. These are our 2 best players that are in our prime. DeRozan at 35 is still a bucket getter. Keegan Murray is only going to get better. Keon Ellis will only get better. So these are guys.
You're missing one person. Say his name.
Malik Monk.
Thank you. How many?
Well, we didn't even talk about Malik Monk because we re-signed him too. Which is like
that was going to be my next question. We'll dive in after.
Yeah. But I think even then, like this just shows like the Kings are going to be hungrier next year. They're going to come out and just like be ready to play against those top teams in both the West and the East, and all 30 teams in the NBA. They're just going to be like, you can't take a night off against us.
Thank you for saying that. Hearing that just gets me even more excited for tip-off. So
got me fired up.
So Malik Monk, he did something incredible, selfless for the city. He signed with us early, and he signed for us when he knew he could take more money elsewhere. He likes Sacramento, which is just another thing to just be so happy about. I remember when he signed with us, it felt like the city was going to have a parade for him. Like it was so exciting. You could feel it. I was at Karma Brew. And everyone was pumped.
Shout out Jose.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I mean, Sacramento's building something special, and I can't wait to see what it all looks like when all the chess pieces are on the court together. And Malik Monk is going to be, he's coming for that 6 man this year. He's been knocking at the door for a while. Like it could have gone either way last year, but this is his award to get next year.
Yeah. It's also amazing rooting for a team where the players want to be there, right? I feel like growing up, as Kings fans, we always had the players like the Darren Collisons, the George Hills, where we signed them, give them a bag, and it was never like they chose us. It was mostly like they chose the money, right? Mm-hmm. As good as they were, they're not, they weren't as impactful as Malik Monk or DeMar DeRozan, but it's just nice to have players choose Sacramento, choose the city, want to be, integrated with the fans, love what we have to bring. And I feel like Malik Monk is the perfect example of someone coming to the city and falling in love with it. And I feel like that's what makes him so easy to root for,
And he's just a great guy. RT and I got to meet him over the summer. He was doing a photo op, and he was signing a bunch of stuff at a local card show. And me and RT, we went over there. We got to meet the man. And we met him right before it was time to sign. And I remember I told him when I got to meet him, I was like, Sacramento wants you here so bad. And he obviously didn't say if he was gonna sign with us then, but I like to think my version of the story is, he knew he was coming here. He knew he was gonna sign the deal.
Absolutely. So I just think that just like speaks to who he is, like character wise. Like, one, when you get to play with your best friend in De'Aaron Fox, that's a huge like thing. That's huge.
Do you think they have sleepovers?
Oh yeah, 100%. At Kentucky, yeah.
Oh,
Malik
I think
Monk,
they still do.
Oh,
I
they
think they have
definitely
bunk
do.
beds
Malik,
at
yeah.
Fox
I think
House.
Malik Monk is a top bunk guy for sure.
Keegan's in that sleepover too. It's a little,
Keegan.
Domas brings the wine. Keegan brings the the dino nuggies. Domas comes with the wine. We got team chemistry.
Yeah. So next question I wanted to bring up is let's talk about the.
Can we stay on the Malik Monk topic though? Just quick question.
Yeah.
Do you guys think he should and will start this year?
I'll start. I don't think he's going to start, and I think he's going to come off the bench. I don't think Kevin Huerter is going to start in that position. I think it's going to Keon Ellis. I think Keon, he's going to have such an impactful year for us. You just take the end of last season, for example. He was locking down the other team's best player, and he was shooting close to 40% from the three-point line. This offseason he was trying to get that number higher so that, think about our roster. We have De'Aaron, say Keon starting, DeMar, Keegan, and Sabonis. An opposing team, the one guy that you would let beat your team essentially by leaving them open is Keon. They say, oh, let's let Keon beat us, but he probably is excited about that opportunity to just have more open shots, and I think he's going to be such an X factor for us. I think he's going to have a huge year, and I think he's going to be a starter.
But the reason I bring that up is because after he signed his contract in the press conference, they asked him, do you want to start? And he said, yeah. So
I mean,
we'll
I want to start too.
We'll see.
I would love to start.
Yeah.
I would love to walk through the tunnel.
But you also love to get paid, and you got paid.
Yeah, I mean,
so
you
you got to
get
do what's
paid.
best for the team.
Yeah.
And I think Fox and Coach Brown and everyone will let him know that. But we'll see. I feel like we'd have to see how the season goes.
But I feel like that Malik Monk is a person that is willing to buy like the role that he can like do that's going to help his team win. And we've seen it the last 2 years that we've seen him. Like, he comes off the bench and is an immediate spark plug. And even now that when you have DeRozan and Fox that are both prolific scorers, you can pair him up with Malik Monk and still keep that offensive scoring firepower, especially when when Sabonis gets a rest or Fox gets a rest. You can really kind of rotate two guys, between Fox and DeRozan that can be like still put like pressure offensively on defenses. And you have Trey Lyles. I mean, you have Alex Len. You have Devin Carter. I know he's out until December and January. Speedy recovery, but that stuff right there is going to allow you to have flexibility offensively. And I think whatever role Malik Monk will do, he's going to do what's best for the team. And I think coming off the bench is the best thing for him.
One more thing about Malik. I think he is, like you said, he's buying into the role no matter what's given to him. And I think he's going to surpass 30 minutes a game this year. I think he's like, that's going to be like the baseline
He's going to be in the
like,
game late.
Like, even if he doesn't
game.
start, he's going to have tons of minutes. Like, he might finish games. He did in the past. I don't see that changing. So, I mean,
that is true.
We got to remember too, him and Keon have a really good chemistry together, but they both can't start at the same time. There's just no way it can happen. And as much as I am pro Keon starting, I also want the best bench unit we can get put out there. And I feel like him, like a bench unit of him and Keon on the same floor together would be deadly. Would be a deadly bench unit. And if they close games, they close games. But that's the only. And I want Keon to start. I think he would be a really good starter. He's probably the best on-ball defender on the team. But him getting a lot of minutes with Monk coming off the bench and the Kings having trouble, keeping the score close when our bench does come in. I feel like that would be really beneficial, having them as our bench unit.
Okay, following up on that, how about I ask this? What's your ideal 5-man bench lineup?
Yeah, I'll start first. I think, to me, especially because you can tell, I would say, oh my gosh, this is tougher than you think. I feel like Monk would be great off the bench. I think Kevin Huerter, you kind of have to put on the bench.
So is Monk the one? Monk is the one, or?
Yeah, I would put Monk at the one. But Jordan McLaughlin. Jordan McLaughlin will be our backup point guard for sure until Devin Carter gets healthy. Mm-hmm. So I think you have to add Jordan McLaughlin because he also can get a bucket too.
He was steady. I think I saw a stat that he was one of the best assist to turnover ratio at his volume. One of the
he could run the floor.
He doesn't turn the ball over.
No, yeah. and that's a huge thing for us too. So I would say probably McLaughlin, Huerter, Monk, and then Lyles, and then it kind of is you kind of have to figure out are you going to play Orlando Robinson or are you going to trust your vet and Alex Len that can play defense, but he is going to get better. So you kind of have to make a question between what Mike Brown has to figure out is who's going to be that backup center in that rotation. Is it going to be Orlando Robinson, who is raw and athletic, or are you going to go with a guy in Alex Len that has been proven in this, in Mike Brown's rotation to where, he's going to give you the minutes that he's going to give you, and he's going to give you the production that you've seen from him. So that's the question I feel like Mike Brown's going to answer for us in these next first couple of games when the season starts. So I'm very excited. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how he goes.
Alex Len, a.k.a. the Vanilla Gorilla. I love Alex Len. I've been on the quest for an Alex Len jersey. I'm begging the team store for them to put one out, but they haven't done it yet. One day they will.
Has it never been in the team store?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I go in pretty often.
And let me just hype Crease up a little bit because he didn't really touch on it in the intro, but this is one of the best Kings merch vintage. Kings vintage thrift collector that we have in the city. The best. If you're tuning in, you probably have seen his page or know about him, but kudos to you for everything that you've done with that. And if you need Kings merch, I don't know who else you would call other than Christo's Closet. So
I appreciate you saying
kudos
that.
to you, kid.
You know why?
Don't think you could skip the intro without mentioning the closet.
Follow Christo's Closet now.
I didn't mention it because actually Christo's Closet is today's sponsor. So if you are not following Christo's Closet on Instagram, what are you doing? If you're a Kings fan, I have the best gear. I have jackets, jerseys, T-shirts, everything from the beginning of when the Kings first got here all the way till now. I have pretty much everything that you could ever dream of having. I have it in the collection. So,
stuff that isn't made anymore, though. I think that's the biggest thing is you sell stuff.
I got the rarest stuff on the market.
That's rare. That's only been made one time.
Yeah.
Vintage stuff.
And that's what makes collecting so special. You come across things that you didn't even know existed at one point.
Right.
So we'll dive in. We'll dive into the closet on a different episode. We'll save a full episode for that.
But especially you wouldn't know about it if you were a bandwagon Kings fan. There are some, right? But it's up to you to give out the vintage merch to those bandwagon Kings fans to let them know, hey, here's a Bana Udre jersey. I know you don't know who that is because you hopped on the bandwagon late, but you still need to rock it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's never too late, man. You can never too late to hop on.
We're always accepting members for the Kang Gang.
If I see an Andres Nocioni jersey at a game, that'd be the best thing. That'd be the highlight of my night.
Oh my God.
That'd be the highlight of my night.
I tell people this all the time. When I go to Kings games, I sometimes get distracted by the game every once in a while because I'm looking out to see what people are wearing. I'm always looking to look out for the very unique items, the really random jerseys I am obsessed with. Andre Nocioni, Nemanja Bjelica, Sergio Rodriguez, Pooh Jeter. If you have a Pooh Jeter, please contact me. I will pay you anything you want for that Pooh Jeter jersey. Anyways, we'll talk about the closet on a different day, but I thank you. I appreciate the shout out. And thank you for Creaseless Closet for sponsoring this podcast. Next question I want to dive into is let's get into the Western Conference standings. Where do you think the Kings will end up this year?
I'll start. I think the Kings will end up 5th. I think that's kind of a perfect spot for the Kings. I feel like still the top 4 is going to be no order really: Dallas, OKC, Minnesota, and Denver. But I think when you look at what other teams that are kind of in that same range, I feel like we improved the most in that department. And I think it shows we could possibly play for 4th if Denver does, or one of the top 4 teams kind of starts off slow and teams figure them out a little bit. I feel like 5 is a very safe spot, but I wouldn't be shocked if we made top 4 and got that first round home court advantage. I would not be shocked by that absolutely at all.
I agree with that. And my somewhat bold take is Kings are going to be Pacific Division champs this year. Kings are going to be Pacific Division champions this year. You can book it. What's the date? September 6th, 2024. The Kings, where's the camera? The Sacramento Kings will be Pacific Division champions in the 2024-2025 season. You can book it right now.
I want to back you 100%. Because if you think about it, we got Phoenix, Lakers, Warriors, Clippers. And is Portland in there? No.
It's just 5 teams in each division.
Okay, so.
A somewhat bold take. Bold.
I mean,
but still bold. No one's picking us.
Well,
I mean,
let's dive in a little bit. So Phoenix, they're going to be better this year. They added Tyus Jones. They have a healthier Bradley Beal. They're going to be better.
Injury history, though. Still injury history.
The whole team injury history.
Kevin Durant injury history. Yep.
But you can never count out KD and Book. Just coming off of an amazing Olympics, USA basketball. They played incredible. So you can't deny the talent there. Lakers. I don't even want to harp on the Lakers. We'll save a podcast.
They'll be lucky if they're playing
for the
team.
Lakers.
They'll be lucky if they're playing team.
Oh yeah,
Lakers. We never have to worry about them. What? Can someone remind me the Sabonis versus Anthony Davis tracker?
Oh yeah.
Does someone know the record?
I think he's 10-0.
Thank you.
Yeah, 10-0.
Warriors are interesting. They replaced Klay Thompson with former Sacramento King Buddy Hield. That will be interesting. I mean, Buddy. I mean, he's a wild card to put it nicely. Buddy. I mean, obviously incredible shooter. But late games, you might every once in a while you might see him bounce the ball off his foot and turn over the ball and end the game. So I mean, you don't know what you're gonna get out of Buddy Hield. So Kings will definitely.
He's also not like the greatest defender either. Like
don't even get me started.
Yeah, like defensively, like there are like people will hunt Buddy Hield defensively too. And we've seen this, like, because we've watched Buddy Hield for like 5 years, and way too long. So we know like what defenses do when they hunt him. So it's like exactly kind of like at that spot where it's like the Warriors are making a big gamble, and that's like if it pays off, great. That makes them a non-play-in team. But if it doesn't, then they're kind of like in that play-in hunt where they're trying to like get in as a 10 seed and try to avoid being the 11 or 12 seed because the West is going to be 12 teams deep this year, and that's a crazy, crazy like thing to think about. Like there are 12 teams that could be above 500 by like the end of the season.
I feel like the Western Conference is going to be very difficult to make the playoffs this year. Like I know our goal and our dream is to be that 5th seed, but it's not going to be easy. We're going to really have to dial in from October to hopefully May. No, hopefully June.
Maybe
I want to see a June.
June would be fun.
But back to the Pacific Division, last team, Clippers. They lose PG for nothing.
They're just not reliable.
They
just get injured way too much. They lose PG for nothing. They don't make any major moves to improve their. I mean, who did they add really?
They got Derrick Jones Jr. But the only other person they added was the Intuit Dome. That arena looks incredible. That's the only good thing about the Clippers this year, and I might be making the trip to LA to go watch the Kings game.
That'd be fun
in LA. Maybe the Kang Gang Pod should make a
little trip.
Make a little trip out of that.
A little reference. I think they just signed a bill too to have. It was some arena in LA, but they allowed them to serve alcohol past like 2 a.m. or something. I'm pretty sure it was the Intuit Dome. I'm gonna need someone in the comments to tell me.
I mean, that might happen.
But it was an arena in LA where someone. Not a lobbyist, an assembly member literally presented a bill to have to extend the alcohol deadline.
Oh, I'm sure
to sell alcohol.
Steve Ballmer was all about
Steve Ballmer, man.
Yeah. I mean,
so
the only way the Clippers
case,
are playing till 2 a.m. is if they play the Kings and go to quadruple overtime.
It's for the Kawhi after parties.
Yeah,
for the Kawhi after parties.
I will say though, they are playing in the NBA Cup, and that would be a great time to go because they're in our group for the NBA Cup.
Are they?
And yeah, they're in our. We'll talk about the NBA Cup.
Yeah,
we'll talk about the NBA
later.
Cup in a future episode and just talk about our predictions for that. But Yeah, I mean, that would be a great time to go because with the court and all that stuff, seeing like a NBA Cup game, that's like going to be really cool. So
I just want to start some Light the Beam chants in the Intuit Dome. I want to be one of the first people to do that. I think that would be special.
Can you imagine a Kings championship parade? Like, it's so hard to even picture it because our all three of our excitements is through the roof just thinking about it. But can you imagine the entire city? Like I'm crying. Like I'm crying almost just thinking about it.
I think there would be more than 2 million people.
Oh yeah,
in the streets.
Yeah, that's something you flock to. Like even if you're not a Kings fan, I feel like you're gonna come from like Ontario, Canada, or Rhode Island and come to that parade just because we've just been through so much.
We've been waiting for this our whole lives.
I mean, we were the darling. We were the darling when we just went to the playoffs, right? We were the
fan favorite.
Darling. Imagine if we get a championship. I'm just saying, kid.
Put it out there. Put it out there.
Put it out there.
I just can't wait till that day does happen and we hop on the pod and we talk about it. But so let's just put it out there and then we'll talk about the championship parade when it happens.
That's right.
Next question I wanted to ask you guys is who do you think is going to be the most impactful player on our roster this year, and who do you think will average the most points?
Most impactful player on our roster this year. I think this is the year. I mean, it's hard to not say Sabonis just because he does so much for us. But I think the most impactful that we don't see coming, like the biggest X factor, will be Keegan. I think Keegan makes the big third-year jump. I think he's slept on as a defender. More people are kind of realizing he's a good defender. But most impactful, I think it just has to be Domas. I mean, there's no way. He's just so important to spread the ball out, to score. I think, if anything, he needs to be more impactful with scoring. I mean, not just against Anthony Davis, but in other games, right? Like, he needs to pretend the opposing center is Anthony Davis. Yeah. Like, just picture that.
Yeah.
Because there's times where he passes too much. Yeah. Let's be honest.
And I don't think it's a bad thing, too, because I'll say this. One of my bold predictions for Sabonis is that he's going to lead the league in NBA triple-doubles this year. Like, I really think that he'll lead the league in triple-doubles over Jokic, over Luka. I think that's like...
I love that bold take because that's extremely bold, and I'm here for it.
And I think, like, you don't have to be, kind of the thing, you don't have to be, like, a effective scorer either. You know, as long as, you know, because DeRozan's in that offense, like, he can, like, take, like, a small step back offensively. But I kind of agree with Johnny, though, on the other side. Like, if he's aggressive and just, like, is able to just get himself into spots where he could be the best that he can be, while also being a good facilitator and a great rebounder and also improving his defense too. You know, that's like going to be a very valuable asset for us. I mean, the guy like got MVP votes last year, which is nuts.
Wasn't an all-star.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Pretty disappointing.
I wanted to talk about what are our realistic expectations for Sabonis and Fox with All-Star appearances, all NBA teams. What do you guys think?
I think if we're a top 3 seed going to the All-Star break, I think we could have 3 legitimate All-Stars. I think we can.
So you would,
if we're a top 3 seed, you would think Domas, De'Aaron, and DeMar will all be All-Stars.
Yep.
And then do you think one of them would end up on one of the All-NBA teams?
I think so.
Yeah. Domas again?
I feel like Domas is going to be a good spot for him. I feel like he is kind of a good spot. I wouldn't be surprised to see Fox make it too. I think Fox has a good chance too.
It all comes down to team success. If we're doing well and the league notices, it's hard not to vote for us, right? When we were a playing team last year, it was like we had to scrounge for all NBA votes. We didn't get all-star votes, obviously. But I feel like if we are successful, we're gonna get those, and I think we'll have at least a couple all
totally
NBA players.
And also, we forgot to mention that this is like an extension year for De'Aaron Fox, so he's extension eligible after this year. So, you know he's going to bring it. You know he's going to try and exceed his season from last year, and he led the league in steals last year too, and he didn't even get like a nod
for the all defensive team.
So
that's
I think
crazy.
And obviously, like, we all know that if De'Aaron Fox makes a All-NBA team, you know, the contract money he's getting so much more. So
Rain's getting a lot of new toys.
Oh, Rain and then Poppy.
De'Aaron
and Rain, we just wanted to say congratulations on the second child.
Shout out to Rasay.
We love the Fox family here. And Rasay, you're incredible. You're an incredible mother. And shouts out Rain and Poppy.
So. I don't see any other basketball wives or significant others doing what Renee does. Or Risay, sorry. I don't see any other basketball significant others doing that.
I know. She's incredible. She's really cool.
That's incredible. With a kid?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
She's done, quick story time. When I made my De'Aaron Fox and Mike Brown t-shirts last year, Rasay, I reached out to her wanting to get the shirts to her and De'Aaron, and I was insisting on giving them to her. She ended up buying 10 from me. And so she was supporting like from the very beginning of when I first posted the shirts, and against, I believe we were playing Houston, she wore it courtside. So that was pretty cool. And the camera zoomed in on her, and that was a big moment.
I think I went to that game. And I
think you were the one that told me that she was wearing it.
I texted you, and she was like, "Oh my God, like she's wearing your shirt and all that stuff." And
that was a big deal. Yeah, that was so cool.
crazy.
So shouts out Rasay and shouts out the Fox family. So, do you guys have anything else you guys wanted to talk about today?
I feel like we've been rolling. This feels natural.
It's been an
and
incredible
the season hasn't even started.
I know.
Like
yeah.
you know what? Like imagine talking after a game.
Oh, we're gonna do that. So we're pre-recording this episode because I'm leaving in 4 days for a month, right before the season starts. So we wanted to get an episode just locked and loaded for the season, and we just wanted to start rolling together. This is the first official episode of the Kang Gang Pod. We anticipate many, many, many more episodes coming out throughout the season. We're going to be making some like shorts, some reels, TikToks, all of that. So we're going to be very active this year. It's going to be a great year for us three doing this together, and hopefully for the Sacramento Kings as well.
And for the fans too, man. That's what it's all about.
We just want to build an incredible community. We want to add members to the Kang Gang. If you subscribe to the pod, if you follow us on Instagram, if you're a fan of the team, you are an official member of the Kang Gang.
You are. We're here. We're arrived, and the Kings are here.
Yes,
the
we
Kings
are.
We all are
Kings
here.
are good.
We're up.
All right, boys. With that being said, episode 1 complete, baby. Let's go.